The bad news for Oregon basketball today: Franck Kepnang is transferring. Now, I don't like this, and I don't have to like it, but I can also understand it. I do understand it, but I really don't like it because I love watching Kepnang play. He plays with just a passion and energy and determination every time he's on the court, no matter what the score was, no matter where we were in the season over the past couple of years. His energy was palpable on the court, and his improvement was tangible as well. You saw that in the numbers, and it passed the eye test as well. He was getting better defensively, learning not to foul as much, how to use his size. He was a force as a shot blocker off the bench. Sometimes he was better than N'Faly Dante. That was certainly something that happened throughout the course of the year. There were stretches, and Foley was better overall. That's why he started, and Franck came off the bench. But there were moments where Kepnang was playing better than Dante throughout prolonged stretches of the games this year, and that's why he saw a bigger role than he did as a freshman when the Ducks got to the Sweet 16. And this was an Oregon team that didn't have a lot of energy guys, right? I've talked a lot here on the show about how they lacked an alpha. They lacked a go-to guy, but they didn't have that many emotional leaders. And I think Franck was, I wouldn't say an emotional leader, but he was an emotional spark plug throughout the season. Emphatic dunks, big blocks, hustle plays, just having that sort of tone on the floor. He always brought that. And that's why I loved watching him play. And at the end of the year press conference after the loss to Texas A&M in the second round of the NIT after a nice win against Utah State, Dana Altman hinted, that there were some guys who were not working as hard as past players have, and he didn't have to run anybody out of the gym and all that sort of stuff. I never felt that was the case with Franck, right? I don't think that is at all why this is happening, like at all, because he was one of the players who I think improved the most from start of the year to the end of the year. And you don't do that unless you are putting in the time and effort and practice and on your own time as well. And I think Franck definitely showed that. His offensive game just became so much more fine. I mean, he was getting to the point where every time he put up a post hook, I was expecting it to go in. Whereas before, I was like maybe 60-40, probably not going to go. And it was nice when it went in. But when he would get a deep post touch, by the end of the year, I felt supremely confident he was either going to get a good look or more often knock it down. And so it's a loss for Oregon, but I understand the move from Franck's perspective because Oregon's front court is about to get even more crowded with Kel'el Ware, who's a 7-footer that I talked about earlier this week on the show. He's coming in the class of 2022, and so you now are just going to have so many bigs in the front court. And Dane Altman has had a lot of success with bigs at both ends, particularly at the defensive end over the last several years. Think of guys like Chris Boucher, Jordan Bell, Kenny Wooten. There are others that I'm probably forgetting right now. If you went back even further, there have been some talented bigs. But N'Faly Dante is there, and he was playing behind him. Kel'el Ware is coming in. Nate Biddle, who we barely saw this year, was also a 5-star recruit. I know that he probably didn't look like that because he hardly ever played unless both bigs were in serious foul trouble, but he can step out and stretch the floor. Maybe he'll see a bigger role next year as the backup power forward, but Oregon now doesn't have a defined number 2 center, right? And Kel'el Ware is 7 feet tall. He can play the center, but I don't think he's going to come into college and be ready to play center. He'll be more prepared as a true freshman the first time he steps on the court to play power forward, way more than he would as, being the 5 man on the court, because he doesn't quite have that physicality or that toughness yet that I was hoping he was going to be able to learn from a guy like Franck Kepnang, and he'll be able to pick it up from N'Faly Dante, assuming he comes back with the program. Haven't heard whether he's planning to leave or to another program or go to the NBA. As of right now, he's staying with the Ducks. That's kind of what the expectation is right now, that everybody else is expected to hang around, but we'll follow that as time goes along. And Franck is transferring because he just isn't going to be able to get enough minutes, right? Even if he had carved out a role for himself with Kel'el Ware next year, which I think he absolutely would have been able to do, it would not have been maximizing his playing time potential, because he's a starting caliber center, I think, in the Pac-12. Is he going to be a dominant player? No, but can you start him on a team and have him be a high energy guy who blocks shots and averages maybe 6-7 points, 10 rebounds, 1 to 2 blocks a game? Yeah, I think so. I think there are a number of schools in the Pac-12, even good ones like UCLA, that would take Franck Kepnang and either have him be a 6th or 7th guy off the bench that plays 20 plus minutes a night, or you could even start him. And so I'll be interested to see where he ends up, whether he stays in the Pac-12 or at the Power 5 level, or if he wants to go to a mid-major, maybe maximize his potential offensive output a little bit more. But wish nothing but the best for that guy. He gave Oregon everything he had. Such an awesome story. He's originally from Cameroon, comes all the way to Eugene, Oregon, which is just crazy. And he was so raw when he got here, and he leaves a much more refined and talented player. And not a move that I was expecting. Davion Harmon, I believe, tweeted out that he was very surprised that Frank put his name in the transfer portal. When you think about it, diving deep, as I was just talking about, it does make some sense. But as Duck fans, we can still feel disappointed that we won't get to see any more of Franck the Tank at Matthew Knight Arena or watching on ESPN or Fox or wherever, because he was a really fun guy to watch, and I love the energy he brought off the bench. So Oregon now has to replace that in their second unit. I appreciate everyone listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.